Congratulations on your purchase of Santorella Publications' Mitchell on Trumpet Book 1 in the series of 4 books with 82 balanced lessons. You've taken your first step to becoming a highly skilled trumpet player. The purchase of this book will provide you with everything you need to become a good beginning trumpet player and a well-rounded musician. My name is Chris Tedesco, and I have been a professional freelance trumpet player on the Hollywood music scene since 1987. I've been able to make my living for over 25 years, playing studio jobs, live jobs, and also booking musicians for those jobs as well. I also keep a full roster of private students in between those jobs. The demands on a modern-day trumpet player include a 3-octave range from low F sharp to high F sharp above high C, all done with a very pleasing tone and proper technique. The exercises, melodies, and studies, as well as the encouraging words from the author, will prepare you for any challenge you may face along the way. This series, divided into 4 separate books, starts at the very beginning of the trumpet and extends to the extreme limits 3 octaves later through a gradual progression of these 82 balanced lessons. Harold "Pappy" Mitchell, to those who knew him well, dedicated 12 years of his life to write this method, which is highly respected by some of the greatest trumpet players around the world. Pappy was one of the first, if not the first, studio player in Hollywood on the trumpet to establish the tradition of the studio musician. He played on the very first motion picture with sound called The Jazz Singer in 1927 and continued to play for hundreds of films including The Wizard of Oz, that's a big one, Gone with the Wind, King Kong, and many other films for all the major motion picture studios in Hollywood for over 30 years. The list of Pappy's students contains many of the finest trumpet players in the world. One of them is Pappy's own son, Ollie, who was one of the best studio musicians on the West Coast in Hollywood during his day in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Ollie Mitchell was a great influence on me as a young player and in many ways is responsible for my decision to become a professional trumpet player. In this way, I feel a direct connection to Pappy, and I'm sure that many other trumpet players of my generation feel the same way. The goal of this video is to introduce you to the instrument you've chosen to play. My intention is to provide you with some of the basic concepts introduced in this book 1 and get you off to a good start. The visual and audio aids that accompany this series, along with your teacher's guidance, will go a long way towards achieving your goals. Let's get started now. Are you ready? Now, let's get acquainted with your trumpet and its components. First off, we have your mouthpiece here. Okay, this is my mouthpiece. It comes out. It should not be stuck in your lead pipe here. It should be able to come out. You are going to be buzzing that mouthpiece by itself in a little bit. Okay, so now we have our mouthpiece going into our lead pipe here. This is your lead pipe. Mouthpiece goes into the lead pipe. The air travels down the lead pipe, okay, and goes into the main tuning slide here. All right, goes around. Main tuning slide goes into the valve casing here, into the third valve casing. This is your first valve, your second valve, your third valve. 1, 2, 3. And if you turn your hand around, 1, 2, and 3. Fingertips always on the top. Your pinky on your right hand goes into the pinky hook here on your lead pipe, like so. Okay. On your third slide here, there's a ring for your ring finger. Okay, and your third finger goes in there like that, holding the horn just like that with your thumb around the first valve slide here. These slides do go out and in. And here's your third slide going in and out here. Always press down your valve when you want to move one of these slides out, okay? These should remain greased and able to move in and out freely. Your main tuning slide is how you're going to tune your horn to be in tune with other people. That's this here. Let me move that in and out and show you. Okay, you see how that comes in and out like that? All right, and I'm going to push it in right here. You see that? Okay, great. That's your main tuning slide. All righty. Lastly, here's your bell. So the sound goes from your mouthpiece through the horn, through all the tubing, and comes out the bell here. See the bell? There's your bell there. And it looks like a bell and it sounds like a bell if you ting it. Okay, do you hear that? So your trumpet acts like an amplifier for your vibrations coming up off your top lip and through the horn. Okay, those are the basic components of the trumpet. It's a pretty simple instrument and not much different. It hasn't changed that much over about 150 years. You will find that it can be a very loud instrument, but also a very soft and beautiful instrument as well. As far as handling the trumpet, be very careful not to drop it. You don't want to drop it, even though it's brass and it's hard metal, it still will dent. It's soft enough to dent still. I recommend always laying it flat on a surface or putting it in your case. Or if you've purchased a trumpet stand, stand it on its trumpet stand like that and make sure it's up straight like that. Don't ever stand the bell on the floor and have it sit like that, because it will fall over eventually and somebody will knock it over. Okay, definitely, that's a guarantee. It will fall over if you stand it on the ground. Okay. If you look at your trumpet main tuning slide, you'll see that you have a water key here. This is to allow the moisture that builds up in your trumpet to be let out. We call it a spit valve, but not necessarily are you only spitting into the trumpet. By all means, there is some saliva going in the horn, but mostly it's hot air going into cold tubing, which makes condensation. So in order to get your water out, you blow and you open your valve like so. Okay, I'm going to see it over here like this. On my trumpet, I have a third valve water key here. Okay, and that's how you let your water out. That's pretty basic. You'll be able to figure that out. I recommend buying a trumpet cleaning kit at your local music store in order to keep the inside of your trumpet clean. Alrighty, so it will come most likely with a trumpet snake that has some brushes on the end of it like so. Okay, you take this apart and you'll take your horn apart by taking your slides out of your horn and placing them in a utility tub or a bathroom tub, and warm water and soap is fine to clean your horn with. And this looks like your snake with the brushes on the end, and that's what you're going to use to go down the tubes like so. If I pull out my main tuning slide here, I pull this guy out, it's going to look like this, right? And I'm going to be able to use my snake with the brush on it to go in there like that. Okay, you see how that goes? All right, that's elementary. You'll know how to do that. Push in the snake, pull it out, and you should get some debris out of there and rinse it out with warm water. Okay, so that's your trumpet snake. No worries on that. You also, in your trumpet cleaning kit, will get a mouthpiece brush. Looks like this, mouthpiece brush. You want to put that into the end of your mouthpiece. Go ahead and turn it, put it in there, clean it out, rinse it out with warm water. Okay, can you all see that? All righty, mouthpiece brush. No worries on that. This is a brush for your valves, and that most likely will come in your trumpet cleaning kit. If not, you can purchase it separately. It's not necessary that you get this. Your snake with the brushes on it will work for your valves as well. Okay? All righty, so I'm going to put back in my main tuning slide, like so. All right. You can also buy slide grease in a stick like this or a tube. You're going to want to put that on all your slides to keep that free, those slides moving freely. You want to be able to get them in and out really quickly if you need to. All right, and you're also going to get valve oil as well. And the best way to oil your valves is to pull them up, take them out of the case like this, unscrew them, put a couple drops of oil on them like so, put them back down. And when you put them back down, make sure you put them in correctly, or you're not going to be able to blow through the horn. You should be able to blow air through the horn after putting the valves back in. If I unscrew this and put this in the wrong way, you will notice that no air goes through the horn. If that happens to you and you back up like that, your valve is turned and it's not in the horn the right way. If I turn that and it clicks, hear the difference? So you want to make sure your valves are in correctly, or you will not be able to put any air through the trumpet. So that's your valve oil. Alrighty? Okay, so now let's take a little break and we'll talk more about the mouthpiece in a second. We are now ready to start working on some of our first sounds on our lips only. The initial sounds on the trumpet are created by making a vibration on our top lip here, preferably right in the middle. The simplest way I get this going with my new students is I tell them to act like they're spitting a piece of food off of the middle of their lips like this. Okay, can you try that right now? You should be able to get the middle of your lips vibrating just by doing that little exercise. Okay, try it again. Okay, put your horn on your lap. And what I can explain to you about your embouchure is this. The word embouchure comes from the French word bouche, which means mouth in that language. Let's put our mouthpiece up to our lips in the middle, half on the top lip, half on the bottom lip, and try to do that same spitting sensation but into the mouthpiece now, like so. Go ahead and try that yourself a couple times, like I just did it myself. Once again, middle of the lips, mouthpiece on the top and bottom lip evenly, half and half. See how that works like that? Try it again. It's very exciting when you get your first sounds in your mouthpiece like that. Okay, so let me show you now how the trumpet actually works. With that buzzing sensation in your mouthpiece, watch this. Okay, can you see the progression here? Lips into mouthpiece, mouthpiece into lead pipe like so. This is some of the best experimenting you can do right now when you're beginning. All right, let's try it again. No need to press down any valves at all. You're not going to need any of those at all yet. Do not press down any valves. Just leave them open. Open fingering, nothing pressed down. Try it one more time. Most likely that first note you get is going to be a low C on the trumpet. Alrighty? Let's experiment now with maybe playing some very simple little tunes or nursery rhymes. When I started in 5th grade, my teacher told me to try to do this on the mouthpiece before I even put it into the trumpet. Of course, you recognize it as Mary Had a Little Lamb. Go ahead and do that. Happy birthday. Here Comes the Bride. But by all means, try to buzz some very simple tunes on your mouthpiece before you even go into the lead pipe and start moving your valves around and going crazy with that kind of thing. All right? We're going to pause right now. I'll be back in 1 second. Let me mention a couple things about posture, breathing, and proper tone. Proper posture while playing will always ensure a better tone. Always sit up straight. Don't slouch while you play. Okay, don't put your back against the chair. Sit on the edge of the chair, feet flat on the floor. Okay, shoulders down. And if you're standing, keep your feet shoulder width apart. Proper breathing is also essential to a good tone. When you inhale, do not raise up your shoulders. It creates tension when you raise your shoulders, so keep your shoulders down. Breathe in and expand your belly and fill your belly with air from the bottom to the top. The air should go in the lower portion of your lungs and fill from the bottom to the top. Alrighty? I just took a breath and you didn't see my shoulders go up at all. So shoulders pinned down, air goes in the belly, bottom to top. Okay? So try to remember that when we start getting some initial sounds on the trumpet. We're going to move on and take a little break here. Review anything you need to in these sections, and the main thing is let's have some fun with this and get started on the trumpet. Welcome to Chapter 4. We're now going to talk about the time-saving device called a metronome. Here's mine here. It's a older version dial metronome, battery operated, but it's still a very good, useful metronome. I have it patched into a small amp to make it louder, so when I practice or play, I can still hear the beat. You want to buy the loudest metronome you can at your local music store, or if you're using a smartphone, iPhone, iPad, you can download apps for metronomes all over the internet. Okay, so let me now explain to you what beats per minute equals. BPM you'll see in your music, all the way in your exercises, in your book, and also music afterwards. Beats per minute. If I put my metronome on 60, and that's one click per second, 60 beats in a minute, okay, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc., etc. If I turn my dial to a higher number, I'm going to get more beats per minute within that minute, up to 120. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Higher the number, the faster the tempo, the more beats in a minute. It's very important to practice with your metronome, as I'm going to do in this whole DVD for this beginning book. All right? Also important for you to tap your foot along with the metronome in time so you can start establishing good internal time within your body. As you progress through the method, you will see in your exercises the tempos that are suggested, and you'll also see some exercises later on in the book where there'll be 4 or 5 tempos suggested to you, starting with the slower tempo, working to a faster tempo. It's always very important to not move on to the faster tempo unless you can play it at the slower tempo. This is your progress and development as a musician, as a trumpet player. Okay, it's very important to practice perfectly in that tempo, move on to the faster tempo, and accept nothing but the best while you're playing with your metronome, keeping time. All right? So once again, higher number, faster clicks per minute. Dial it down, and a slower number. 1, 2, right? Okay. So that's your metronome explained. All right. Be sure to buy one. It's the best investment you can make. If you get used to playing with it now in the beginning, it will be no problem later on to be a good musician with good time. Okay, so now let's move on to Chapter 5, your very first lesson in the Mitchell book. Some initial sounds on the trumpet. I'll be right back. Welcome to Lesson 1, Chapter 5, and your initial first notes on the trumpet. At the top of the page, let's talk about what an open tone is. It says in the book, an open tone is produced by buzzing your lips while blowing air into the horn without pressing any valves down at all. I already mentioned that before, so don't press down first, second, or third at all. Alrighty? To demonstrate that to you, I'll do that now real quickly. Okay, to get some of those initial notes, how do you start the note? The syllable that you say in your mouth is the word ta. Ta. That's a clean start to the note. It releases the air out of your mouth. Remember, you're buzzing your top lip into the mouthpiece. Say the word ta now. Ta. Okay, that's how you attack the note and strike the note initially to get those sounds out. In your first exercise here, we're going to do what they call whole notes. Whole notes get 4 beats in common time, 4/4 time, which we'll talk more about later in the book. As you see on the music staff, on the very first line of music there, you'll see a G, second line, no valves pressed down, and 4 beats underneath it. I'm going to put my metronome on 60, 1 beat per second, and attempt to show you the second line G, whole note, 4 beats. The second measure on that line is a whole rest, which receives 4 beats as well, with no playing in there, okay? And you'll hear me count these in between. All right, so, all right, G, open tone, and 1, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. 1, 2, ready. And off. Okay, that demonstrates your G. That's a possibility of your first open note on the trumpet. The second staff down is a low C, which might be more likely the note you'll get out initially. This one goes like this. And 1, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3, and 1, 2, ready. 1, 2, say ta. Okay, that's a nice note to start with. The third line on that page demonstrates an open C, third space on the staff, which is a harder note to get, but I'll demonstrate it for you now. Most likely that's not going to be a note that you're going to get first off. Okay, open C, nothing pressed down, and 1, 2, 3. One, 2, again. 1, 2, ready, and last 1, 2, say ta. And off. Those higher notes require faster air, okay? If you want to attempt it, that's fine, no problem. At the bottom of the page in lesson 1, very first page, you'll see names of notes and fingering described underneath it. Be sure to read all that starting on the low G, 1 and 3 fingering. Okay, try to memorize those and also be able to understand what those are. They're still whole notes, 4 beats per measure. And we're going to move on to number 1 in lesson 1. Okay, let's move on to number 1 in lesson 1. We see a G on the second line, whole note, 4 beats, and we're going to do it at 60 beats per minute, 1 click per second. Okay? You're going to see an accent underneath that note and the explanation of the articulation above it. This means to strike the note hard with a clear attack, once again using that syllable ta. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. 1, 2, last 1. And rest. Okay? Take a little break here. As I talk to you, the horn's off your lips. We're going to move on to number 2. You're now going to learn an F note. First valve pressed down. It's 1 step lower than the G. Whole notes, same speed. Should sound like this. And 1, 2, ready. Rest, 2, 3. F, 2, again. Last one, 2, F. Okay, and rest. That was number 2. Moving on to number 3 is an E. First valve, second valve pressed down. Okay, if you're looking at both ways like that. That's an E. First line on the staff. Same speed. Do it with me if you can. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, ready, and resting. Okay, that should be your E. Once again, if you need more time, you can pause this DVD at any time to practice what we're doing right now. If we move on to number 4, we now see a fingering of low D. First valve and third valve pressed down. 1 and 3. One step lower than the E. Okay, same tempo. And 1, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2, 3. Rest, 2. Last D. Great. Okay, are you getting it? Okay, let's move on to number 5, low C. One step lower than the D. We've played this note already. Same tempo. Low C sounds like this. 4 beats each. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And off. Great. Which now brings us to number 6. New note, low B, second valve pressed down, 1/2 step lower than low C, easier blow, whole notes 4 beats, low B, number 6. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last 1, 2, low B. Okay, that was number 6 in lesson 1. Moving on to low A, 1 and 2. Nice low note below the staff, 2 ledger lines below the staff, number 7, low A. This should be easier than any note you've blown before. Same tempo. Low A sounds like this at whole notes, number 7. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one, 2, say ta. Great. Okay, take a look at the bottom of the page. We now have some new terms. The first one is fermata. Fermata in Italian means to hold or pause. All of your musical terms will be in generally Italian. When found above a note or below a note, a fermata means to hold the note longer than its regular duration. When there's a fermata above a bar line, that actually means to pause a little bit in between those bars. Okay? Next you'll see the term slur. Okay? Little line between two notes means to do not tongue between the two notes that are different notes. Okay? And play all the notes without an additional attack. Okay? When the slur. All right? Also we see the sharp symbol, which looks like a number sign. A sharp raises the pitch a half step. We see a flat symbol, looks like a small B, lowers the pitch a half step. Okay, number 8, 60 beats per minute still. Number 8, with the slur starting on G second line. When we go down to the C, open your mouth and think of the word ah. Alrighty, and here's number 8. And 1, 2, 3. Fermata, and we'll wait a little bit. Next note is an F sharp, second valve pressed down. 1, 2, 3. Fermata. Okay. And the next note is an F, first valve. Alrighty. Slurring between an F and a low B flat. 1, 2, 3. Fermata. Next note is an E, slurring down to a low A. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now moving on to E flat, 2 and 3. Alrighty, going down to low A flat. 1, 2, 3. Pausing in between on the fermata between the bar lines. Next note, D, 1 and 3, down to low G. 1, 2, 3. Okay, pausing again, letting some beats go by. Next note, D flat, 1, 2, and 3, all valves pressed down. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, and fermata here. Moving on to a D, 1 and 3, going up to a G. Keep the valves pressed down for the G. This is an alternate fingering for G second line. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that ends number 8 in lesson 1, chapter 5. Take a little break, review that if you need to. Okay. So now we're on number 9 in lesson 1, learning about half notes. A whole note gets 4 beats. A half note's going to get 2 beats. In 4/4 time, 2 beats each. Number 9 starts on a low C, and you'll see 2 half notes in the measure equaling 4 beats total. The tempo is now 80, a little faster. Number 9 should sound like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. D, 2, 3. F, 2, ready. G, 2, 3. A, 2, 3. One, two, G. One, two, F. E, 2, ready. D, 2, ready. One, two, and off. Go ahead and take a rest now. Pause the DVD if you need to, and we'll pick it up at number 10. Number 10, low B, second valve, half notes in the first measure. Okay? And number 10 should sound like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Low A, 2, ready. Low G, 2, ready. Okay, go ahead and take a rest there. You can pause again. All right, we're on number 11 in lesson 1. The speed is 80 beats per minute. We're going to do some more lip slurs, starting from a lower note going to a higher note. The syllable from the low note is a ta. When you go to the higher note, it's an e, ta-e. When your jaw is low, the cavity of your mouth is large, you're going to be able to play a lower note that way. When you want to go high, if you think of the syllable e, it'll close your mouth and make the air compression faster. Therefore, you're going to get a higher note. Ta-e. Okay, number 11, starting on a low C, lip slurs should sound like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, Low B, 2, ready. B flat, 2, and low A, 2, ready. A flat, 2, ready. One, two, low G. One, two, G flat. One, two, and rest. Take a little break between 11 and 12 now. 12 is going to be half notes at 80. It's called simple melody. We're going to do number 12 starting on a low C. You're going to have plenty of time to breathe on measure 3 in between 4. Okay? Go ahead and pause the DVD now if you need to. If not, let's move on to number 12. Number 12, simple melody, should sound like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, One, two, A. And off and rest. Okay? We're going to take a pause right now. We'll be back in a little bit with number 13 in Lesson 1. Take a look at the text above number 13 in Lesson 1. These fundamental exercises are most important and must be thoroughly mastered. The beginning student should practice often, but not too long each time, so that the lip may be trained and strengthened gradually, but not fatigued. Those are great words. In other words, rest when your lip is tired. All right, if it feels good, keep going on. Number 13, we're now going to move up the scale with some half notes and whole notes. 80 is the tempo. Number 13 should sound like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rest, 2, D. 1, 2, E. 1, 2, F. G, 2, ready. C, 2, 3. And off. Okay? Take a rest. If you can't get that C, don't despair. Keep trying for it. Alrighty? The notes will come the more you practice. Moving on to number 14, we have C whole notes alternating one measure of note, one measure of rest. The tempo is the same. You're going to need faster air to start this note up here. So attempt that with a deep breath and a faster blow out of your mouth. Okay, number 14, with a good attack, should sound like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Again, 2. 1, 2, again. 1, 2, last one. Great. Alrighty. That was 14. If you're getting that C, you're doing great. Once again, pause the DVD if you need to. Slow down the tempo if you need to. Take your time. I'm the pro. You're the beginner. Okay? No problem with going at your own pace. If we move on to number 15, we start on low C half notes, still in common time, number 15. Alrighty? We're going to go all the way through it. Here's number 15 at 80 beats per minute. And 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, D. 1, 2, E. 1, 2, F. 2, ready? 1, 2, A. 1, 2, B. 1, 2, C. All right. That concludes number 15 in lesson 1. Definitely take a break now. Pause the DVD. Let your lips recover. I'll be right back. All right. Last one in lesson 1, number 16. More on the lip slurs. Notice the alternate fingerings below the notes. These are non-standard fingerings that produce the same sounds and same pitch as their standard note. For example, G second line can be played open. It can also be played 1 and 3 pressed down. Okay, we use those fingerings when we do lip slurs only. We don't use them while we're playing music as they are out of tune. Number 16 at 80 beats per minute sounds like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, fermata, and we'll rest a little bit. Next is B. 1, 2, 1, 2, Fermata. B flat's next. 1, 2, 1, 2, A. 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay. Next is A flat, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, Resting. Fermata. Here comes the G, 1 and 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, Fermata. Okay, here comes a G flat, second valve. Nope, it's going to be 1, 2, and 3, enharmonic. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, fermata again. Low C sharp, 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, 1, 2, Notice how I held down 1, 2, and 3 for the F sharp in that slur there. Okay, that's exactly what you need to do. Next one is D going to G. Fingering does not change between the bars. D, 1, 2, 1, 2, Next up, D sharp, otherwise known as E flat, and 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay. E is next. 1, 2, 1, 2, One. Okay. First valve, 1 next. E sharp, otherwise known as an F. 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay. Moving on to an F sharp, second valve. And 1, 2, 1, 2, Alrighty. G next, open. 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, fermata, and starting on C again, third space. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, a little bit of rest between this and the low C to finish it. 1, 2, 1, 2. And off. Okay, this concludes number 16 in lesson 1 in chapter 5. Go ahead and pause the DVD. You can go ahead and rewind any of this anywhere. Redo it at a slower speed. Go at your own pace. Once again, I'm the pro, you're the beginner. Great, we're going to pick this up, chapter 6, lesson 2 next. You're doing great. Welcome to chapter 6, lesson 2. We're now going to do number 1, which is a C scale, 4 beats each note at 80 beats per minute. Make a nice round sound if you can with a good attack on each note with the syllable ta again. Number 1 in lesson 2, chapter 6, should sound like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2. And off. Okay, a little bit of rest there. Number 2 is the C scale coming down from the third space C. You're going to need faster air to start that note. Number 2, same tempo, should sound like this. 1, 2, 2. Okay, great. Take a little break right there. Before moving on, please read the next section where we discuss what a quarter note is. In 4/4 time, a quarter note gets 1 beat. If there's 4 beats in a measure, 1 beat each, 4 beats in that measure. Quarter note gets 1 beat each, like so. Quarter, 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 quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter notes get 1 beat. Tap your foot along with the metronome. Number 3 in lesson 2, going between C and D. Here we go, number 3. And 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. That was number 3. You're going to see more quarter notes in number 5. The next one, lesson 2, number 4, is a tone exercise with some whole notes again starting on low C. Metronome marking is still 80 beats per minute. Take a little break here and we'll move on to number 4. Make sure you start each note with a ta, good tone. Tap your foot. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rest, 2, G. 1, 2, low C. sure to keep your shoulders down when breathing in. Alrighty? Now, number 5, quarter note study, same speed, basically starting on the low C and going C, D, E, D. Okay, make sure you have your fingerings in your head. Press your valves down firmly. Tongue each quarter note, ta. Number 5, quarter note study sounds like this at 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, Great. Alrighty now, number 6 in lesson 2, melodies. 80 beats per minute, starting on a low C, mixing up half notes with quarter notes now. Be sure you have your fingerings in your head. Number 6 sounds like this. Take your time. Be real consistent with your air and your tonguing. 1, 2, 1, 2, and off. You'll notice that I took a breath where I needed it, so you can do that as well anytime you need a breath. Moving on to number 7 in the melodies section, starting on a low C, skipping up to an F quarter note. Alrighty? This one's a little different. Make sure you breathe where you need to. Number 7 sounds like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, great. That one's not too hard. And you can take a little break now while I'm talking. Moving on to number 8 in lesson 2. Alrighty. This one is a little melody you might recognize as lightly row. This is half notes and whole notes, same tempo. And we're starting on a G second line. Alrighty. 8 sounds like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, and rest. Okay, go ahead and pause your DVD, take a little break before you move on to number 9 in lesson 2, chapter 6. Okay, number 9 in lesson 2, more lip slurs. We're starting on a half note G, going down to low C and back up. Remember, you're not going to change your valves for each one of these set of fingerings. All right, number 9 lip slurs sounds like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, off. Alrighty? Make sure you follow the fingerings precisely. No tonguing between the notes. Say E for the higher notes and Ah for the lower notes from number 9. Okay, moving on. Number 10 is the first one in simple exercises, where we see a little bit different combinations of quarter notes and half notes, starting a little higher on the horn. Number 10, starting on F, sounds like this at 80 beats per minute. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Feels pretty good over here. How do you feel? Make sure you rest your lip if you need to after these. There's no rush. There's no reason to rush through any of these. Take your time. You are going for precision, performance, perfection, and also a great sound, always. Moving on to number 11, simple exercises, starting on a G. Alrighty? And at the end of the line, you'll see an accidental F sharp in the next to the last measure with the fingering underneath. Okay, number 11 sounds like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Alrighty. If you have any problems, you can always pause the DVD, put your metronome on a slower speed, and go ahead and pause your DVD and do it yourself. Alrighty. Moving on to number 12 now. Starting on an A, climbing up the scale, you'll need faster air to get those higher notes. Number 12, same speed, sounds like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And off again. These exercises are great because they're not that long. They give you plenty of time to rest in between, and they start inching you up the scale to build up your embouchure. Okay, let's move on to number 13 now. Starting on a G, quarter notes, going up to a C and back down to a G. Take a breath where you need to, probably every 2 measures. Number 13 at 80 beats per minute sounds like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And off. Okay. Number 14 is next, starting on a low C, climbing up to a C scale here. Same tempo, 4/4 common time, low C. Good attacks, deep breaths into your lungs. Number 14 sounds exactly like this. Take your time. And here's number 14 at 80 beats per minute as well. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, great. We have one more, like this quarter note study at number 15 here, same tempo. Part of the simple exercises, number 15, starting on a third space C. So a nice strong attack with fast air for that C. Alrighty, and number 15 sounds like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2. You can hear me breathing within number 15 wherever I needed it. It's no problem where you take your breath. You're just learning. Take your breath where you need it. Take it deep and fast. Alrighty? That's the end of the simple exercises, 10 through 15. Take a little break now before we go on to 16. Alrighty? And I'll be right back. Okay, let's move on to number 16 in lesson 2. Before we do that though, there's some terms I need to explain to you. We're now going to encounter what we call a quarter rest. A quarter rest gets one beat of silence. Alrighty? That's in measure 4. The squiggly line on beat 4 is your quarter rest. You'll see the note before it. It's a dotted half note on a second line G. That little dot placed after a note means that you add 1/2 the value more to that note. A half note plus 1 equals 3 beats. And you'll see that in measure 4, 16. Alrighty? That's a dotted half note. Number 16, 80 beats per minute, goes like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. That's number 16. All right. Take a little break now and rest your lips. Moving on to number 17 in lesson 2. Okay, so now we're on number 17 in lesson 2 in chapter 6. Our speed is 80 on the metronome, and we're now going to do some arpeggio studies. Number 17 starts on a second line G, working on the C major arpeggio. Alrighty, number 17 should sound like this. Go ahead and tap your foot. Good attack on each note. And 1, 2, 1, 2. And off. Okay? All right, number 18 will be very similar with the quarter notes, except we're going to start on an E now, and number 18 starting on an E and working the arpeggio that way. The E is the major third in the C major arpeggio. Okay, so number 18, same tempo, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And off. All right, Moving on to 19, starting on the E, going up to the C in the arpeggio. Same tempo, good attack on each note with a ta syllable. Don't puff your cheeks. Strive for good tone. Tap your foot along with the metronome at 80. Here's number 19. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And rest once again. Great, we're doing fine here. We'll move on to 20 in a second. That one starts on a third space C. You're going to need some of that fast air again with a good attack to start that C. 20, same tempo, arpeggio study 20, all right? And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Great. That feels good to me. How about yourself? Going on to 21, starting on a B, third line B, B natural, okay? There's quarter notes and half notes in this one. The B is the third in a G major triad, G, B, D. 21 sounds like this, all righty? And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was 21. Take a little break here as I talk. We'll move on to 22, which starts on a D in the G triad. Okay, these exercises are not too long and not too short. They're just the right length to go through and not tax your lips that much. Okay, so 22, low D, same tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Great. That ends our arpeggio studies in lesson 2, ending with number 22. We're going to move on to number 23, scale studies. Last 3 exercises in lesson 2, okay, chapter 6. Great. Now we're on scale studies, number 23 in lesson 2, chapter 6. The tempo is the same, 80, and starting on a low C, working half notes and quarter notes. Play along with me if you can at this speed. Number 23 sounds like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and we'll rest a little bit. Moving on to 24, which will start at the top of the C scale in just a second. All right? Let's start there. Third space C, fast air with a good attack. Number 24 in the scale studies goes like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2. And off. Okay, great. Last one, 25, scale studies in lesson 2. All right, starting on a low C with half notes, nice and low in the range, won't tax your lips too much. Strive for a good tone down here. 25 at 80 goes like this. All righty, 1, 2, 1, 2. And off. All right, that concludes lesson 2, number 25 in the scale studies. Go ahead and take a break here. We'll move on in a second. And rest your chops always. When they're tired, when they're not, continue to practice with your metronome. Welcome to Lesson 3, Number 1, Chapter 7 on your DVD. Number 1 is at 80 beats per minute. Starting on a low C, we're going to play chromatic long tones up the chromatic scale by half steps. Follow along. I'm going to take a break after 2 lines, and you're going to continue on after the 4th line by yourself with the flats coming down. Number 1 in Lesson 3 sounds like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rest, 2, 3. D, 2, again. D sharp, 2, ready. One, 2, E. One, 2, F. And okay, rest a little bit here. After 2 lines, it's a good spot to get the horn off your face. We'll pick it up at F sharp, 3rd line, 2nd valve, same tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2. One, 2, G. One, 2, G sharp. and that's a good spot to rest as well. Now, the rest of the exercise, chromatics, you're going to go down using flats. You're going to play it by yourself with the metronome going. I'm not going to do it for you here. Follow along in the book. Metronome at 80, same tempo we've been doing. You're going to start on a D flat 1 and 2, which is the same as a C sharp enharmonic. Welcome back. We're now on number 2, Old Dance. We're at a faster tempo, 92 now. All right, and we're also going to explain to you the breath mark that you see. It's the little comment that you see above the staff telling you where to breathe. Up until now, we've been breathing where we need to. Go ahead and follow these breath marks in number 2, Old Dance. Okay, metronome's on 92. Here we go. And 1, 2, 1, 2. And rest. Alrighty, we're going to pick it up on number 3 in lesson 3 in a minute. Go ahead and rest your chops a little bit, and you're doing great. Take your time. If you need to do number 2 a little slower than 92, by all means do that. Alrighty, and I'll see you in a second. So now we're on number 3 in lesson 3, chapter 7 on the DVD. More lip slurs. Tempo's a little slower at 80, so I'm going to move my metronome down right now to that. Okay. And these are half note lip slurs now, following the fingerings below. I'm not going to play the whole exercise. I'm going to play half of it, and you're going to climb on the way back up on line 3. All right, number 3, half notes, lip slurs, should go like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Second valve. Okay, and this is where you climb back up yourself on the low G, 1 and 3 fingering. Okay, and it's sharps on the way up. Okay, you've done these before, you should be fine. Moving on to number 4 in just a second. Take a little break, give your lip a break. And number 4 is a little slower at 72, so I'll adjust my metronome in a second. And we'll be on number 4, ascending exercise in thirds. Okay, you should now be on number 4 in lesson 3. 72 BPM, ascending exercise in thirds. Starting on a low C, going up to an E, starting off here. Number 4 goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, resting a little bit there. Moving on to number 5, descending exercise in thirds. Starting on the third space, C. You're going to need some fast air once again for that note and a really good attack with the syllable ta. Okay, number 5 sounds like this at 72 BPM. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, great. Taking a little break now before you move on to 6, French melody. That one's going to be a little faster at 88. Go ahead and rest your chops. Pause the DVD. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back at number 6, French melody. The tempo's a little quicker at 88. Starting on a G, second line, the French melody goes like this. Strive for a good attack on your notes with a syllable ta. Tap your foot along with the metronome, and number 6 goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Great. You should feel pretty good after that. It's a good little tune. The melodies are very important in the Mitchell book here. And we're going to move on to number 7 in lesson 3. The tempo's 80, so I'm going to adjust my metronome down a little bit. Okay, as you can see, do yours now. Okay, 2 clicks on the dial, 8 clicks on your digital metronome. And these are some intervals in number 7 here, starting on a low C. Go ahead and take these right now like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2. Great. All right. That's definitely a little longer exercise, so you want to give your lip some time to get some blood back in it. As I'm talking here, you can adjust up your metronome to 92 for number 8, melody. Okay, it's a little quicker, so I'll do mine up there. All right. Number 8 starts on a low C. Not too high, should relax your lips now. The book is set up this way. In other words, if you play one that's a little strenuous, the next one's not going to be as hard as the previous. Okay, number 8 sounds like this at 92 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2. And rest after that, and we'll move on in just a second to number 9 in lesson 3. Okay, number 9 in lesson 3 is a new time signature, 3/4 time. 3 beats in a measure, quarter note gets the beat. All right, you'll see it start on low C and go to a G. Only 3 beats in a measure, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the tempo's a little slower at 72. And the interval is a fifth. Okay, my metronome is on 72. And number 9 in lesson 3 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, ready, set. Okay, did you understand the 3/4 time? If not, pause the DVD. Make sure you do before you go on to number 10. Okay, let's move on to number 10, arpeggios. Starting on an E, the speed is 72 BPM, quarter notes. Number 10, arpeggios, goes like this. And 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, resting now, moving on to number 11. Moving up to 80 on the metronome, starting on a C, third space, interval study, number 11. Okay, lots of fast air for this note here and a good attack. 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, let's move on to number 12, a little slower again at 72. 2 clicks down on my metronome. Arpeggios once again, starting on a G, second line. Speed 72, here we go, here's number 12. 1, 2, 1, 2, Okay, great. That ends number 12. Go ahead and rest your chops a little bit. And I'll be right back with more trumpet. And see you in a minute. All right. Number 12 wraps up lesson 3. You're doing a great job. Pause the DVD. Go back and go over anything you need to. We're going to move on to lesson 4 in the Mitchell on Trumpet, Book 1. You're doing a great job, and stick with it. It's all worth it. You're going to have a great time learning how to play the trumpet. Welcome to lesson 4. Look at number 1. Number 1 is a G major scale in whole notes. Let's talk about a key signature at this time. Key signatures are determined by accidentals, either a sharp or a flat, placed at the beginning of each line. You'll notice where the sharp is placed on number 1 on the 5th line where we have an F note. In the key of G major, each time an F appears, you're to play it as an F sharp. Number 1's at 80 beats per minute. I have my metronome on that right now, and let's do it together. And 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, if you look at number 2, it's the G scale starting at the bottom. All right, same tempo, breathe between every note. Number 2 goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Great. Alrighty. Moving on to number 3 in just a second. Number 3 is lip slurs at a slower speed of 72. Starting on the 2nd line G. I'm going to do 2 lines of this and then you're going to be on your own. These are quarter note lip slurs. We've done these before. Thinking E for the higher notes and Ah for the lower notes. Number 3 at 72 should go like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Ready? And you can continue on and finish that by yourself with the fingerings going down the low G. All right, you understand how that goes. Not too much new there. The lip slurs are a very important part of your warm-up and practicing and build-up. Number 4, same tempo, is going to start on a C and go up to a G. Let's do that now. All righty, here's number 4 in lesson 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. And continue on with your fingerings. First valve B flat, 1 and 2 low A, 2 and 3 low A flat, 1 and 3 low G. Okay, you can continue on with your tempo at that. All right, we're going to move on to number 5, tonic and dominant 7th chords. Alrighty, in half notes, a little quicker. 80 on the dial. All right, starting on a low G. Nice fat sound. Play along with me now. 1, 2, 1, 2. One, two, three. Rest to A. Great, and that's number 5. You'll notice that we were in the key of G, using the G arpeggio. Alrighty? Alright, so take a little break now. We'll move on to number 6 in a second. Everything's great. Strive for a good tone. See you at number 6 in a minute. You should now be on number 6, slur exercise. Starting on an F. In the first measure, F going to a G, lifting up your valve but not tonguing between the two notes. Alright? Slurring from an F to a G, 2 different notes, lifting the valve, no tongue. Speed is 80. Here's number 6. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. Moving on to number 7, scale studies. In the key of C, no sharps, no flats. Number 7 starts on a low C. Be very careful of the tonguing and slurring. A little slower tempo, 68. Okay. Number 7 sounds like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. And rest. Moving on to number 8, scale studies, starting on the third space C and coming down. Okay, same tempo, starting on the C. C, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. A little bit of rest here while we move on to number 9, tonguing and slur study. Okay, the tempo's a little faster at 76. Still in the key of C, but we're changing our time signature to 3/4 time. Number 9 is in 3/4, 3 beats in a measure, quarter notes. Okay, watch the tonguing and slurring. Alrighty, number 9 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, ready? break here while I talk to you. Moving on to 10. 10, continuing with the slur and tonguing study, is a little bit opposite of 9, starting on the third space, C. Same tempo, 76, number 10. All right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, ready? Okay, take a little break. 9 and 10 are pretty long, so make sure you want to take as much time as I am talking to you to rest a little bit. We'll move on now to number 11, key of G major now with the F sharp in there. Rhythm exercises. Number 11 is a little faster at 88, easy to find on the dial. Okay, and number 11 starts at a second line G. Be sure to follow the rest in the tonguing. All right, here's number 11. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rest. Rest. Okay, nice and short, number 11. Okay, going on to 12. Okay, pay attention to the quarter rests. Okay, everything tongued, still in the key of G now with that 1 sharp. Okay, F sharp right here. Number 12, same speed, goes like this. 1, and 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. These are just the right length to get your lips and fingers moving. Okay, not too taxing. Moving on to number 13 in lesson 4. Back to the key of C, no sharps, no flats, starting on low C. Okay, 4/4 time. Okay, and watch the pattern develop here. Okay, 13. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and metronome off. Okay, great. Let's move on to number 14 with a little bit of a break now. Number 14, continuing on with rhythm studies, key of G major with a sharp, 1 sharp once again, 4/4 time, speed's 80, a little slower than the last one. Okay, and number 14 goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. And so a little bit of a rest now between 14 and 15. Moving on, you'll see we're back in the key of C major, no sharps, no flats, 84 speed. Starting on the second line G. Number 15, follow the quarter rests. Be very careful. Start with a good tone. Let your water out if you have to. Number 15, here we go. And 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, metronome off. We're going to move on to 16 now. Okay, up a little faster to 88. 16, key of C still, 4/4 times, starting on the third space C. Lots of fast air to start that note with a good syllable ta. Okay, let's move on to 16 now. Okay, here's 16. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, all right, resting now. Number 17 in lesson 4, low C, 92, a little faster on the metronome, 4/4 time, mixing up the half notes with quarter rests and quarter notes. Nice and low. And here is number 17. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, that one's a little long. It's a little long, but it's not high. So no problem there. I'm going to pause the video camera right now. Moving on to number 18. See you back here in a second. Welcome back to number 18. America, my country, 'tis of thee. Okay, in number 18, we see in the second measure, going to the third measure, a note that is tied over. A tie looks similar to a slur, but it connects two of the same pitch, two of the same notes, which extends the duration of the note. In other words, in measure 2 there, you see a half note tied across the bar line to a quarter note, making it 3 beats instead of 2. A tie is always between two of the same notes. So now 160 on the metronome, way up there, very fast beats, okay? All right. And we're right there. Okay, 160. So, and that's going to be this speed right here. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, very fast. You're also going to see a new key of F major here in number 18. You see a flat on the third line, which means to play all B's flat, first valve. Key of F major. Okay. And you need to know that this one is at 160 BPM, starting on the first space F. My country, 'tis of thee. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, that's the fast version at 160. I'm going to do a little slower here and put it over at 120 for you, just so you can have a slower alternate version, okay? Here's what 120 is going to sound like. Okay? And you're going to probably need some more breath. You're going to breathe in some other spots here that are not on the page probably. So go ahead and go with that. And here's number 18, My Country 'Tis of Thee. 1, 2, 1, Okay, and rest. So you can definitely do both speeds. If you can do the 160, great. If not, try it at 120 like I just did. And breathe where you have to. Okay, horn off your face, resting as I'm talking to you. And we will move on to number 19, which is the last number in lesson 4. Okay, still in the key of F major. Corner note study at 160. We'll move that back up to 160. Okay, we're there. It's going to go along pretty quick, so I'll do a slower alternate for you as well. Here we go. 1, 2, that goes by pretty fast. So here's 120. Alrighty. Okay, so now let's do number 19 at a slower speed of BPM 120. Melody in F major. Okay, and this should be a lot easier than what you just heard. 1, 2, Okay, so definitely easier at that speed. Okay, so now this concludes Lesson 4, Mitchell on Trumpet, Book 1. Well, it's time to say goodbye now, and I've had a great time introducing to you the trumpet, its components, initial sounds, and the first 4 lessons with the Mitchell on Trumpet, Book 1. Continue on with your teacher. If you don't have a teacher, continue on with yourself. Be sure to follow all the directions very carefully, all the metronome markings, and all the tips by Harold Pappy Mitchell. You're off to a great start. Mostly have fun with it. Make some great music, and I'll see you soon. Chris Tedesco signing off. Thank you. Be sure to purchase books 2, 3, and 4 from Santorella Publications as well. Have a good time.